Hello boys and hello girls, and welcome to another disappointment of an area. Recently I was reminded that to some people I am considered a god, so I suppose I might as well do my job and make a couple of more videos. I'm not going to lie, I finished the FADUS data in Excel about 2 to 3 days ago, but I just couldn't be bothered to actually record and make the video. So here we are today. Let's discuss about this area and see if it got buffed enough for me to recommend this area over Valencia. If you are not aware, FADUS Habitat and Polyforest were buffed recently, a couple of weeks ago. The developers also added Marni stones for these areas, just with the main intention to make people move away from Valencia and maybe consider Camasilvia instead. Polyforest was a huge success. If you didn't see my video on that, then maybe go watch it, because I will make a couple of connections between FADUS and Polyforest. FADUS Habitat, on the other hand, in my opinion, is kind of a disappointment, and you will find out soon enough why. First of all, let me mention my class and gear, because I always start with those. So this is another area that I grinded on my level 60 Mystic, because I wanted a character that actually needed the experience rates. And yeah, for my gear, I believe I had 230 or so AP with blue grade weapons at try, some weight limit armor. That my weight limit armor basically gives me higher weight limit because of the crystals, and it gives me maxed out level 5 movement speed, which on my main gear I don't have. So you don't need this much gear to grind here. I would say maybe 200 AP at most is all you need, because the monsters are easily one-shottable and you shouldn't have much of an issue to just one skill an entire pack. In my case, just like at Polyforest, I was often using 2 skills per pack, just because mystics don't have that huge AoEs, so I was missing a couple of monsters. For the rotation, just like at Polyforest, I'm pretty sure this area has at least 3 different rotations that you can make and use, if not even more, but I just couldn't be bothered to look to search for all of them and to even grind more than one rotation. The one that is currently playing in the background is the only rotation that I used throughout my entire testing, and no, it's not the most efficient one. About halfway through the test, I realized that this area is not exactly that good, and I didn't even grind 10 hours here. As soon as my Mystic got to level 61, I did my experience test for level 61, and then I stopped because I saw that, yeah, this place is not exactly, if you compare Polyforest to FADUS Habitat, Polyforest is a lot better. That much I can say. So for the rotation, I might even show the fact that if I go all out on my Mystic, I run out of monsters. So if you are a very fast grinder, like maybe a Mystic or a Musa, this rotation will not be enough for you. But for me, it was more than enough, because while I grind casually, watching some Netflix or chatting with people, I didn't really have monster respawn issues. So I only noticed that when I was testing experience on my very last run, when I was actually going all out, or at times when I was actually, paying more attention, I suppose. Still, let me bring up the Excel file so I can actually show you what I'm talking about. By now the rotation should be done playing, so let's talk about that Excel file. For monsters per hour, you can see that my average was 4.5 thousand monsters per hour. That, I saw that from the Marni stones. The slowest runs were 4.1 thousand monsters per hour, with the fastest one being the very last one when I tested experience at 5,000 monsters per hour. If you reach 5,000 monsters per hour on this rotation, yes, you will have issues with monsters not respawning in time, but if you get around 4.5 thousand, it should be fine. I didn't feel like changing the rotation at all, because The entire series, the spot reviews were meant to be tested, at least the experience values, on my ranger or on my my ranger or on my wizard. So I saw from the polyforest video that my mystic is actually faster in clearing speed than both my ranger and my wizard, so I thought that it's kind of fair to not go all out, since this time I was testing experience on Mystic. For trash per hour, this I would say it gets close to Polyforest. Polyforest was at around 7.6 thousand trash per hour on average from my test, with the fastest run at 8.2 thousand trash per hour. Here at Fadus Habitat I got 7.2 thousand average trash per hour, with the fastest run getting close to 8,000. So I would say with a better rotation you can probably expect about the same trash per hour rates at 8,000, but I only got 7.2 average. Again, a lot of these sessions were very casual. If you look at the screenshots, in some of them I was boosting my friend, her shy, so of course she wasn't looting at all to not influence my test, but still, a lot of these sessions were very casual, and since I realized this spot is kind of meh, I didn't really care that much to push myself to get the best values. That being said, hours grinded in total, about 9 hours. As soon as I got to level 61 and tested experience, I stopped because I just couldn't be bothered to to keep grinding. For money per hour, let's talk about that one. So average 26 millions per hour. It might be a little bit more or less if you open the Excel file, because I believe I updated all of the prices about a week ago when I did the last spot review on Polyforest, and since then the prices fluctuate quite a lot because of the shy release and all of the enhancing materials going up in price, and just in general prices fluctuate a lot. But still, this area actually does drop cash in terms of pure silver. The cash value also includes the base level weapons that drop in this area. I was always selling the base level weapons to the NPC because I don't see the point of keeping them and putting them up on the marketplace. So the cash is basically yeah, you understand what I'm saying anyway. There are 3 sessions where you can see I had 10 millions or 6 millions. In these I just was too lazy to take proper screenshots, and I already sold the trash itself to the NPC, so the cash includes the trash itself being sold. So yeah, there's that. Black energy residue, I would say the drop rate is about the same, if not slightly lower than at Polyforest, so it's still pretty good if you're looking for black energy residue. Traces doesn't really matter. The dust drops actually are worse than Polyforest, where you can expect to make it, I believe it was around 25 to 35 or so dust per hour, where here you can make 3 to 5 dust per hour, so not a very good spot for dust drops. Again, not a very good spot for Kafras. You can either make 0 or 1. I believe the sessions where I got 2 are the sessions where I actually turned in my daily quest. This area also has daily quests, and one of them does give you a Kafra as reward. Blackstone drops, again, not that good. Blackstone armors do drop, I guess, pretty often, and most of the Blackstones came from enhanced weapon drops that I extracted Blackstones out of. The Dew of Tranquil something, again I didn't put the full name. These I believe they drop in less, yes. At Polyforest they drop way more often. Here I barely saw any of those drops, which is pretty weird. Earth Spirit Fragments, again I valued them at 50,000. I know from your comments that you can actually combine 10 Earth Fragments and 10 Water Fragments to make a Forest Breath, which is basically worth, it increases the value from those, but I'm pretty sure most people don't grind more than one spot and save up the fragments. So again, I consider the case where you would sell to the NPC the Earth Spirit fragments. You may change these if you want on the Excel file. The drop rates are pretty decent. Comparing this to Polyforest, I would say it's about the same in terms of spirit fragment drops. The spirit stone, this place drops the protection stone, which again, just like in the case of Polyforest, it doesn't sell on the marketplace. It's always at minimum price and with a lot of them registered. Voodoo dolls, not that many, but then again, Polyforest was pretty similar. Never mind, Polyforest actually had higher drop rates for the voodoo dolls. Might be just my luck, but Fadus Habitat doesn't seem to have that good drops in general. Same for the Forest Breath, at least here it's very noticeable. I only got 2 of them in 9 hours, whereas at Polyforest I was always, in most sessions I was getting between 1 and 3 Forest Breaths, that's drops. Petals doesn't really matter, you get a couple of them. Mystical shards, if you want to craft those in-game costumes, I got 3 of them. This area drops multiple types of Lemuria drops. I have 1 Lemuria helmet, 1 Lemuria chest, and 1 glove that dropped in my 10 hours. Or actually 9 hours this time. Actually, what might make this place different, I think this is just RNG, but when I tested Polyforest, I only got 2 of those. Again, I forgot the name. The thing that spawns the poacher, whatever, the thing that the elite that spawns and drops a chest. I only got 2 of those at Polyforest, where here at Fadus Habitat I actually got 1, 2, 3, 4, I believe at least 5. There were, let's just say 5. I didn't really take clips of all of them, but I did see a lot more of them. It might just be RNG, but at least in my case, yeah, you get the point. So moving on, the peridot leaves, these you get from turning in the daily quests. I suppose I did only 5 days with those quests, so 5 turn-ins, 25 of them every time. And I will say, if you want to go and grind at Fadus Habitat, you should pick up those dailies, because these peridot leaves, you turn them in for some horse awakening material, some deep blue hoof, whatever. I believe it's 7 leaves for one of those, and if you look at the value for each leaf individually after selling to the marketplace those awakening materials, it's around 265,000 per each leaf, and you get 25 of them daily from those quests. So I got 28 millions just from those dailies, which if you look at the other drops in general, like Blackstones, Dust, I got more money from those dailies than I got from all of the Kafra and Dust drops. So it's definitely worth doing those. Swaying Wind Shards, those don't really sell on the marketplace, but you do get a couple of those here, and then just trash, which I should have placed this column as the first one, but it just ended up here because I guess random orders. I did get 1 plus 14 bears Florang drop, which I kept because currently the shy weapons are selling very well on the marketplace. So that one I sold for about 9.5 millions, which is meh. I guess it's meh. Again, this all comes down to about 26 millions per hour if everything sells. Like if everything sells, including the protection stones, which most likely will not, I might as well put here 0 if I can find the button. 0, because those will not sell. That drops the area to 24.7 millions per hour, and I'm not sure if there are other things that don't sell. Maybe the Swaying Wind Shards, those also don't sell. That should bring this place, yeah, about 24 millions per hour. I would say with better RNG you can expect more, but in my case yeah, it's very disappointing. I don't want to stay too much on this topic. I already took my time explaining the money per hour rates, but yeah, it was very underwhelming to see that compared to Polyforest, Fadus is actually pretty bad. And once you see the experience values, you will understand why I say this is a disappointment. Even if this place is basically fresh, they just buffed the area. So for experience rates, again, you know how this works. I had one test at level 61 on my Mystic. I converted the experience rates, so this here, the experience and skill experience for my Mystic at 5,000 monsters per hour rate, and then I converted that to 4,500 because that was my average throughout the hours. And I would say if you want to consider the 5,000 monsters per hour the official experience rates, you will have to look at these two values with 0.082 and 1 skill point level up and 88% per hour at the base 100% experience rate. So these are, if you want to use them, I would say since these are 5,000 monsters per hour, and at Polyforest I also got 5,000 monsters per hour, so basically the same monster clearing rate. The difference is that at Polyforest I actually got even 5.7 thousand monsters per hour on my Mystic, but then I scaled down the experience rate because 5,000 is what my Ranger managed to clear. So 5,000 monsters on Ranger versus here where I got 5,000 on Mystic. If you want the same clearing rate, you might want to look at those values, and even so, the experience rate is actually noticeably lower than Polyforest. But for my 4,500 monsters per hour, which will be the official experience rate, these are the values that I got. For Marnie stones, again, I turned in 4 stones at level 61 to see the rates. Nobody cares about that. Let's just look at the 350% comparison, so I can show you. Actually 450%. I keep saying 350. I should actually put here 4 because these days it's 450. Looking at Fadus habitat, I'm pretty sure I didn't make any mistakes in the experience rate because I looked at it multiple times, but the experience for monsters is actually disappointingly low. At 450% with experience buffs, you can see that I get 0.341% per hour, where even at basically Fogans, Nagas and Bandits are all 3 of them are much higher. Polyforest, again, noticeably higher. Marnison experience is actually pretty decent, but I don't know, for whatever reason the monster experience is pretty low, and combining the Marnistones and the normal experience, I get 0.753% from Fadus, which it doesn't really come anywhere close to Fogans, Bandits, or actually that's Shira Ruins, to Fogans, Nagas and Bandits. And again, Polyforest is actually better than Fogans, Nagas and Bandits, which means that Fadus after the rework is a huge disappointment. Skill experience wise, I guess it's decent. It's about the same as Nagas and Bandits in terms of skill experience, but Polyforest has a lot more skill points. The skill experience rate at Polyforest is a lot higher. So if I had to recommend a spot between Fogans, Nagas, Bandits, Polyforest and Fadus habitat, I would definitely say go Polyforest, or if not, go to Bandits, because Fadus, even after the rework, doesn't seem to be worth your time. Especially with 24 millions per hour, I would say nah, just go for Bandits or, you know, Polyforest. So yeah, I'm gonna end the video here. Thanks for watching. I hope I enlightened you and gave you a